Is my PowerPoint-ish. You've already seen this, but I wanted to just do a voiceover so you feel at ease knowing that we're not going into Friday and it's going to be a train wreck. I promise you it will be nothing even close. So what you see is a rough, not rough, completed PowerPoint, but the fonts do not translate on this computer. I'm going to be bringing my other computer with me. I think what I'll probably end up doing is also saving the fonts as images and embedding just in case there's a backup to the backup. Everything will still work, but I'm still putting some final touches based on a conversation I had with Seth 2 days ago. So let me walk through. You've already seen this. I'm going to walk through, give an introduction. Again, none of the fonts are what they're actually like. Even this, the spacing's weird, so the content's going to stay the same, but the font looks just a little bit different. Hi from Sarasota, story about my past, getting tables interacting. I have gone against poll everywhere simply because I think it is adding unnecessary extra time. What I want people to do instead is just to dialogue as a table. So there's going to be a series of questions throughout. So we'll be asking questions like these, talking about typical faculty responses to this issue, then why it actually is their concern, talking about those two big initiatives that we really looked at earlier, right? All of these, Governor Scott's performance-based funding, and then how higher education is being portrayed in the general public. Looking at how we're being portrayed as predators, how that's scary, how people are now regretting to go to college, publishing posts on why you shouldn't go to college, and then here we are saying, what is wrong with you? That's ridiculous. Often this is because people are saying that they went to college but didn't learn the skills they really needed to in life. From an article, 8 things I wish I knew how to do. Here are those 8 things. I'll spend time really piecing them apart, talking about how they're not actually that ridiculous. People come to college not to learn, but also not to get a job. There's a careful balance between the two. They want to see how they connect. I'm making a joke about Trump. Don't worry, it's not too political, just funny, lighthearted. Talking about finding the balance between the two. How do we teach and honor the traditions of our discipline while also getting students ready for the workforce? I'm using the Job Outlooks report from 2015. It's the one that's most cited in research that is built upon career readiness in the liberal arts. Looking at the most sought after skills, bridging them down by theme. Again, font is going to look different. Here are the major themes, and we see when we piece this apart, if you focus on these 4 domains, ethical leadership, collaboration, communication, and critical thinking, you're able to accomplish nearly all of the skill sets that employers were looking for in 2015, with the exception of technical skills and computer skills. I want to add an element that focuses on human diversity and community and global engagement because that's important as well. It's part of who we are as a USF system. Talking about how it can be overwhelming to juggle all of those. How do we do it all? Again, font looks terrible here, but it looks much better on my computer. I'll save it as an image. Talking about we don't need to do it all. We simply need to change our vision and recognize many of these tasks can be accomplished with what we're already doing. Talking about changing our vision, latching career readiness onto the essential liberal arts outcomes. These are the things the liberal arts are looking for, and they map very well onto the skills that employers are looking for as well. So we see this as a collaborative effort between the outside world and institutions of higher learning to create an understanding that what we're already doing can facilitate career readiness. I'm going to look at those 4 domains, starting with group work, joking about group work, asking tables to talk about why people hate group work, and then looking at the skills that have the potential to be developed in the context of group work. I want to give individuals some principles, best practices in group work. I think this is one of the things that most people have the most confusion about. We've already gone over this in person, but this is what I think we'll spend some time really piecing apart, how to set up solid group projects. Move on into the leadership domain. I'm going to ask everybody what a leader in their field looks like, and then change the perspective to distributed models of leadership, where leadership isn't one person leading 10 people, but it's 10 people bringing their own unique leadership characteristics to the table and using them and bettering them and developing them in that context. Looking at the skills that are developed within the domain of leadership, and then best practices in leadership development. This is going to look again completely different, and this is the section that I'm going to probably add just a little bit more. After talking with Seth, I think this will prime his afternoon a little bit better, and so I'm going to add some images and gloss this up, but the content's not going to change. So looking at the things that leaders do, oops, And then moving on to the domain of critical thinking, asking tables to talk about how critical thinking is different than regular thinking. What is the distinction there? I'm going to be pulling in, again, from the job report, and then from USF Sarasota Manatee's QEP, we look at Paul and Elder, kind of the big theorist in critical thinking, looking at the commitments of critical thinking. Again, this will look different, much nicer. Formulating vital questions and problems clearly, gathering and assessing relevant information, identifying assumptions, alternatives, implications, well-reasoned conclusions and solutions, and then communicating reasoning effectively. Before I move into the communication domain, again, that won't crowd the font. It's a font issue. I promise not to say it again, but I'm neurotic, so I apologize. Looking at the skills that are developed in that communication domain, and looking at 3 very simple principles within the context of communication. Communication can be many different things, so we need to adapt this to written communication and oral communication and computer-mediated communication, but all communication should do these 3 things. I want to talk about how these don't exist isolated in their own way. They don't exist in vacuums, but this is a complicated network. And that often as we develop students' leadership skills, we're developing their communication skills. As we develop their problem-solving abilities in groups and teams, we're developing their leadership skills. They all intertwine. And this is probably the part you want to see. This is where we'll transition into the activity. So I have changed this just a little bit too for logistical reasons. I provided a general syllabus, and I'll show this all to you in 1 second. That's giving them a general title, description, learning outcomes, and topics of a speech course. That's what we said we were going to do, a speech course. They're going to develop 3 assignments together as a table. 1 has to be a group project, so I'm setting that for them. I want them to develop a group project because, again, I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about what that involves, and so I want them to be able to do that. 1 must deal with current events, so tying in that global engagement, civic engagement, diversity piece, but also with the area to develop those skills that we're looking for. And then 1 actually has to be a speech. So I'm going to set this up that they don't all have to be speeches, but they have to all facilitate the listed learning outcomes or the structure of the course. They need to attempt to create 3 coherent assignments that utilize work skills. I'm going to note that they don't have to use all of those work skills. That's not our goal here. Our goal is not a mixed bag of nuts. It's a coherent framework for developing some work skills. Some tables will probably develop them all. Some might do 2 or 3, and that's all valid. This is just a video I was going to play. I don't even know if this works on this computer. Yeah, it's just going to be embedded and kind of playing in the background for the 35-40 minutes that they're working on these assignments. So again, it looks a lot different with fonts, but still, there it is. Let me back out of here before I do that and go to, shoot, I thought I had downloaded it. Oh yes, here it is. This is the syllabus. I'll be providing copies. I'm going to provide about 4 copies per table. Everybody doesn't need one, but I want everybody to be able to see them. So they'll be stapled. I'll bring them in the morning, set them up. I'm not worried about it at all. This is the general template for our syllabus. We've got a course description, course topics, course objectives, and that's it. Here I also give them instructions. They've been given a rough common syllabus template used for our speaking course. They have to craft 3 assignments that support the list of objectives and development of skills sought after in the world of work. And they need to do a list of those, and then they need to focus on an assignment that is a group project, 1 that deals with current events, and 1 that has to be a speech. This is a summary of the information that I present in my PowerPoint because I think it might be helpful for them to have as they're crafting these assignments. I do make a distinction that group work is a process. It is not a skill domain. It's an area in which those other skills are developed, so that this is helpful for faculty setting up group projects, while these 3 are actually things that are necessary outcomes of leadership, critical thinking, and communication. So that's a summary of information. I also remind them of the top employment skills in those domains that we've developed. This comes directly from the job report, so it's right there, easily accessible. And then an assignment sheet for 3 different things. This one's for the group project. Here they can check off what that fulfills. So in addition to developing group skills, so they will check that off here. Where is that? Oh, collaboration. That's what we've titled it here. In addition to checking that collaboration, if it fulfills any of these other ones, they will check them. They will here just jot down what that assignment is, and I'm going to clarify in my presentation. It doesn't have to be detailed. They don't have to come up with a full assignment, really just a general outline. This is an opportunity to work through the kinks of the process. In addition to developing those instructions, I want them here to talk about the listed course outcomes that this assignment supports. So always going back to the syllabus, because that's an important skill set they'll need to take back to their own courses. And then how this assignment promotes career readiness, getting them to understand how it all works together. So we've got assignment sheets for each one. So again, I'll be providing multiple copies per table. I then want to return and talk about other ways to accomplish this work, in addition to establishing assignments that facilitate these skills. There's other things that they can do, such as massaging the language of work into the classroom, looking for real world connections and community partners to collaborate with and to corroborate what they're saying, to provide opportunities for students to make those connections through self reflection or other opportunities, to speak positively about the education and career divide even if they aren't excited about it, and then to ask for feedback, be that from their students, from community partners, from administration, about what they're doing and how it could be improved to prepare students in a way that enables them to be ready for the workforce. I want to end with a conversation about how this works in each faculty's disciplinary units. So I want them as tables to talk about how does this work in mechanical engineering, cognitive psychology, literature, history, communications studies, nursing, public health, all those disciplinary domains. How would this work? And this will just depend on how much time we have left. And then we'll end with some questions. The only thing I think I need is the back channel that you said you all were going to have. I'm happy to have just questions asked with a mic, but if you prefer that they go through your angle, that's fine. Just provide me with that back channel information by early Friday morning, and I can get it plugged in the PowerPoint and ready to roll. So I feel really good. It looks fast and disorganized and blitzy here, but you've heard me speak one time before, and I have a background in communication, so I'm really not worried about it. Having talked with Seth the other day, I'm even more confident that this is going to be, I think, a good fit for where he's going. We've really worked out a lot of thematic pairings together, so how mine will feed into his and vice versa. So I'm excited. If there's anything you want me to change, I'm happy to do that as well. I'm ready. I've got my script ready. I'm good to go. So if you need anything from me, let me know. Otherwise, this is my presentation, and I can't wait until Friday. See ya.